Okay, guys, kickstarting 2017 on the right foot with another podcast. Privileged to have Jared Revel, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, professional MMA fighter on. It's good to have you here, man.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I've been excited since you guys started this. I've been waiting for the call.
You've finally been selected, been chosen, so we're happy to have you on finally.
Well, I think I'm one of the first guests, so I feel pretty honored, right?
Second.
Who was the first?
Christian.
Wow. Yeah. You guys invited Christian before me?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
But, just kind of, you've got, pretty good following around town. And, we brought you on for a couple reasons. You've got, something to talk about later. But let's start off, what got you into jiu-jitsu?
Jiu-jitsu, I was always, an athlete growing up. I did all types of sports. I think one day, I started watching UFC. One of my friends, Brad Falk, he kind of said that he'd started at a gym last week, and he was like, all my other friends say they're going to come, but nobody will come. And I was like, well, I'll come. And I went. It was Revolution out in Chilliwack. That was probably 10 and a half years ago. And I think, I went, and, instantly what got me into jiu-jitsu, I went there for MMA and more to get in shape. And I remember we did this MMA class, and I remember it was Danny DeLast, and at that time he was a lot smaller than me, and I thought I'd just wrestle him and just dummy him, right? Because I'm a big, strong guy, right? Yeah. And I thought I was tough, right? Yeah. And I was able to do those things, and I started passing his guard, just throwing his leg aside, and just thinking, oh, this guy's I'm gonna whoop this, pro MMA fighter. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I forgot that I left my arm there, and he's arm barring me, and I was tapping right away. And in that moment, I was like, what is this? He's like, jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And at that moment, I was hooked, and I was like, no one's gonna be arm barring me anymore, right? So I had to learn it, and I was hooked from that day. And luckily, I had a training partner in Brad that together we were both just kind of obsessed with getting better, right? And obsessed with jiu-jitsu. So we were doing it, between I'd say 4 or 5 times a week. We'd drive out every day and compete. And then we were also at home. We lived in an apartment together, so we were at home. We were training there too. So it constantly just became an obsession for us, right, to get better. And then we started competing, and then just keeps going from there, right? So
you got a pretty cool competition story with when you're pretty fresh white belt, you took on a brown belt. So why don't you tell us about that?
That was definitely wild. I didn't know if I was going to compete in jiu-jitsu. I didn't know I was going to fight MMA. I just was doing it originally to get in shape. And then our coach, Super Dave Rothwell, he's our coach at the time. And he's like, you guys should go in a tournament. And we're like, yeah, let's. I was like, I never want to shy away from competition. I'm a harsh competitor. And so we went in it, and I remember I went in the white belt division, and I won my division. So I had 3 matches in my division, and I remember we were outside. It was one of the very first Grappler Incs way back in the day. Tim Shears put it on. It was just kind of starting to blossom, the tournaments. And I was outside, and I was puking outside after my matches.
Just exhausted.
I was so exhausted. I hadn't felt that before. I hadn't it was just a different, I think adrenaline, right? So I was puking outside, and who knows? I probably wasn't an athlete. That's how I was eating pizza, do whatever I want. And I'm outside, and I remember my coach comes out, and he literally goes, "Hey, Jared, you should sign up for the Absolute, right?" And I was like, what is an Absolute? And he's like, you have a chance to win $500. And at that time, I'm like, sweet. What do you mean? He's like, there was originally 50 people in the Absolute tournament. And he says, now that there's a brown belt that came from Seattle. And so everybody's dropping out. And there's only 10 people left because they're all scared of this brown belt.
Was he kind of known as a killer? Is that why? Or just
no, I think just because at that time, not many brown belts competed. There was no brown belt divisions there. There was... I think there's 2 purple belts in the whole tournament. There was maybe 15 blue belts. It was a very green tournament, right? All white belts and stuff. Yeah. So
was he a bigger brown belt or?
He was probably 185, 190, right?
Decent size. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't. I think it was just at that time, everybody was like, "Oh, a brown belt."
It's kind of like the infancy of jiu-jitsu around here. Because probably at that time, there was maybe 2 black belts.
Yeah, there wasn't very many black belts in BC. There's obviously a lot under Marcus. I think Marcus had a bunch of black belts, but they were kind of scattered around. But at that time, Super Dave was a brown belt. All those guys, right? So even seeing a brown belt, you're like, "Whoa, those guys were the guys teaching," right? So I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, I'm puking right here. He's like, I believe in you. And at that point, I was like, okay, if you think so. Yeah. And I remember I was like, okay, sure, I'll do it, right? Just based on that. And I remember walking, so I thought I'd get to fight a blue belt first, right? I thought I'd work my way up. Yeah. And so like there's like 600 people in the gymnasium, so they stop the whole tournament, and they're literally they have. So I'm walking out, and I feel people laughing at me, and people are pointing and laughing at me, and I'm just like this is weird. Why are they laughing at me? Right? Like why? Like, and then all of a sudden I look behind me, and the guy I'm matched up with first is a brown belt. I'm a white belt, so everybody's like, this is gonna be a quick one, right? And I still think like in any match I go against, I think that's like whether it's my coach that beats the crap out of me every day on the mat, like if he chokes me out 10 times on the mat, if I have a one-on-one tournament style match against him, I will win. Like that's just my mentality. I believe I can beat anybody, when it comes down to that moment, right? So I had that mindset. One of my training partners showed me I'd never done judo before. I'd been doing jits for 3 months maybe, and I literally showed me some like just basic judo grips. He's like, don't let him get inside on you, right? And yeah, it went on, and literally like I remember like the guy pulled guard on me, and he was just going for like sweep after sweep, and I just thought to myself like, do not like people are yelling stall to me. Like that doesn't happen in a jiu-jitsu tournament. People are like usually yelling he's stalling, but they were actually telling me to stall because they now they're all cheering for the underdog. And then we were back, and then I kind of stood back up, and he tried to go for takedowns, and I kind of reversed the takedown. So I think I got an advantage point based on that because he couldn't take me down. He was going so hard, and he pulled guard again, and he was really going hard for it. And so I have an advantage, but I don't even really know the point systems at this point, and literally people are just chanting for me, and it was, it was a pretty cool experience. And like probably about 30 seconds left, I kind of got out of his guard, and he just was going hard for takedowns, and probably like right at the buzzer, he like was going for a takedown out of bounds, right? And so didn't count because it was out of bounds, and it was at the buzzer, right? So I ended up winning that, and so it was a pretty cool thing, and through that I ended up winning. I think it'd be a purple belt and the purple belt and a blue belt in the finals, and I won $500. And I remember I was like 2 gold medals and $500. So I was like, well,
that's quite the feat, because not only did you beat this brown belt, but you went on to beat some other higher level belts as well, right? So that's pretty good.
So it definitely set the tone, and through that, like I think a lot of it I learned after that was like the game is so much, because every tournament I went in after that, it was like I'd go in somebody and they knew who I was. They're like, you're the guy who beat the brown belt. And right at that moment I was like, I got you already. Like, I've already got you.
Exactly.
Right? And so that's how it was for quite a while for me in any local tournament. Like I was pretty successful just because of that, right? I was racking up wins based on people like knowing who that I beat a brown belt. Kind of paved the way for me, right?
So have you, I know over the last 5 years, you've kind of taken like a different approach to your life and kind of really gone in a positive way of things, and you really take, like how you're talking about mindset. Like have you always kind of had that approach when you were younger?
No, I definitely I took it for granted when I was probably in the first 5 years of my training, and when you're young in your 20s, I like to party, and I think I just thought I was invincible. I thought that I could party and then go compete the next day, and I was winning. So for me, I thought there was nothing wrong with that. And obviously, there was times, I think everybody has struggles in their lives, and that kind of points them in different directions. And I guess I hit my kind of bottom, while I was still training, but I wasn't trained to the level of an athlete I wanted to be. Like I would go to the world levels, right? Now, I remember I went to the world stage, and I was still behaving like that, and I was still partying and treating my body like crap. And I remember when I went to the Pans the first time, and I got 3rd place, right? And I just it was an eye opener for me that if I want to compete at this high level, I need to probably eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff, right? But it wasn't enough for me. I was still young and impressionable, and I thought it was more important to party and stuff, right? So I didn't really get my life together, and then I had a bunch of events kind of brought that around, and I had to get myself together, right? And now I think I've 5 years I haven't, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of that anymore, and I've really focused myself on being the health that I can to give myself the best opportunity to win, right? And since then I've definitely took a different path. I started MMA 5 years ago, and that's been a huge part of my game, right?
So you were saying that you kind of hit that rock bottom, and now let's say 5 years later, you're kind of you're managing Revolution, you're competing, you're a professional fighter. What made that transition from you going to rock bottom? How did you end up at Revolution? In terms of managing it, and
what's crazy is like Robin Holisko is, obviously a good friend of mine. We started kind of jiu-jitsu around the same time, and he owned the gym out in Chilliwack, and so we had trained lots. For me, I wanted to fight. I wanted to train. At that time, they gave me the opportunity to teach a couple classes. I was, like a high-level purple belt at the time, and I didn't have a job. I was obviously looking for work. Found some work, which was some shitty construction. I was in the restaurant industry before, and that just wasn't good for my lifestyle. And so I was doing just some crappy work and getting paid better, but they offered me, just a part-time gig, making absolute minimum wage.
Yeah.
I was making minimum wage, and I was here for the countless hours in the gym, but it got me to the gym, right? So I started with that. I literally came here. I busted my ass. I would, be here for 12 hours, 14 hours. I know people say, oh, I live in the gym and stuff, but at that time I pretty much did. It was, it's not I got paid, minimum wage, but I was working all day long, and then I'd train all day long as well, right? So, and then I just did that. Literally tried to help this place. It worked out that the manager at the time left, and I kind of got put in that position, and just through years of kind of hard work, and I loved the gym itself, so I acted like I owned it right at that point, and I worked my ass off. And then I think through that they saw that, and they're like, well, we need people like this around. We don't want to lose this person, right? And so let's offer them ownership of the company, and that's that was how I kind of bought my way into to Revolution as an owner, and then the rest is history. And now things are great. We have huge programs going on, and that's a tribute to everybody involved, right? All the teammates, everybody that's kind of stuck with Revolution has really helped us build this new vibe we got going on. This real family oriented fitness club, and now our fight teams at the best it's been in a long time, and we got a good kind of crew going and family going. So
I think the kids programs too is one of the bigger parts of the gym, right?
Well, that's what we definitely focused on. For a while, the fighters weren't making us money, right? Most fighters,
Fighters
me being a fighter myself, I'm not especially on the local scene and stuff. We're not making enough money just by fighting to support my life. So and let alone pay for my membership at the gym and stuff like that. So we had to kind of cut that out. At one point, there was literally Craig, I think Tyler Jackson, Ash Smash was here, and I guess Adam Smith. Those were the only fighters. Then myself kind of joined on that, and then you as well, Mike. Right, and that was all we had for a while. And we weren't focusing on building an MMA team. We focused on, and we actually joined Gracie Baja and became a franchise in that, and that helped us out a lot because it really helped us focus on building a curriculum and a program for our kids and our adults, and based off having fundamental classes for adults and so on and advanced, right? And it's skyrocketed. Now we have over 150 kids here at Revolution, right? And it's booming, right? It's the best it's ever been, and it's a profitable business, right? So it's definitely happy for that.
Well, it's you've taken your passion, right? You followed martial arts, right? And, made kind of a career out of it, right? So that's a big thing. So let's talk about Canadian Grappling Federation, another venture.
I'm
kind of
totally
a part
stoked
of, right?
about this. For me, obviously, just because I think competition, has so much value in anything you do, right? It really it helps out people that aren't even competing. Teammates that can help people that are competing, right? It makes it builds bonds stronger, right? If Mike isn't a competitor, but I am, I need Mike to help me train harder if he's my training partner, and through that, he's going to dedicate himself to get here to help me, right? Because he's a good teammate and a good family member, right? And so he wants to get here to make sure that he's helping me train to my best ability, right? Mm-hmm. So through that, he's adding dedication and hard work to his life, even though he's not even competing at that stage, right? And so that's why I think it just it brings so much positive characteristics out of people, right? And it's a good way for people to it's a safe environment, especially jiu-jitsu. It's a safe environment for people to win and lose, and to be able to learn on that level, right? And over the years, sure at the beginning I had some success and stuff, but I've had some big defeats, whether it be jiu-jitsu or in MMA, right? And those definitely they suck. Who likes to lose? I'm not one of the I understand you learn you either win or you learn. At the same time, I hate losing.
But that's what makes you appreciate those winning moments so much, right? That's
so much, right?
Going through those struggles and feeling, that moment of victory, right? That's huge.
That's what you can relate. Like when I hear people like now they talk about like Ronda Rousey or like even like Anderson, like all these people, like you got to realize like the mental edge. Like people are like, oh, like get over it, or like all these things. Yeah. There's so much that goes behind like somebody that like we want somebody to be like I love greatness. Like I love watching greatness. Like whether it's like LeBron James, Kobe, but like all these people that are great, I love that because their mental edge is like unwavering. Like nobody's on that like level. So for us to be like, we want to see somebody lose just so we can be like, oh, they're like us.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then we're like, why can't you get over it? Oh, you're gonna kill yourself. All these things. Yeah. But yet we want them to be so great. Yeah. We want them to be like at this level. Yeah. Like there's so much that comes with that. Like the hard work, like the mental, like, you're thinking about constantly. Like those people sacrifice so much in their lives just to think about one moment and to like so. Yeah. So I like
that was the loser's mindset though of like wanting those people to fail. Like why you focus on someone else failing? Like why aren't you focused on your own success?
And then they talk about like like Ronda for example. Like, oh, like she's bad media. All these things like she like I don't like her attitude. All these things, right? Like at the end of the day, that's just a hater. Like okay, like sure, and you have everybody's got their own personal opinion, right? But for me, I just like I appreciate greatness on any level. So like when I see somebody achieving some greatness, I love it. Like I can't not love it. Yeah. Like that means that they've worked hard. And clearly, yes, she needed like when she came across Amanda Nunes, Amanda Nunes is an evolved fighter, so it was that time, right? But you can't take away from how great she was at one time.
Exactly.
And those things, and this is not her time anymore, right? So I look at it like that. I love people that are so geared for competition. And it can be. Some people get really wrapped up in it. I think. Let it be. They have nothing else to kind of hold and pick them up when they fall, right? But
so like Jiu-Jitsu and Revolution especially, but it's a very welcoming environment for. It's not just about competitors, right? It's about we got you got women, kids here, people who are just doing this for recreational fun. What's your approach as an instructor? Because I know instructors out there like they want all their students to compete. Like you got to compete. Like what's your approach to that? If someone asks like, do I got to do that? There's a tournament coming up. How do you approach that?
I think I encourage people that like you should test it out, go out, compete. Like it's an experience in itself, right? Yeah. And like you can't replicate that like when you step into like a forum of like hundreds of people, competitors, and like the feelings you get and like the anxiety comes, like people are like nerves, like that's like to me that's the beauty of it, right? I love that. Like that means that something's great is about to happen, right? Like you're going to be pushed to a limit and test yourself. I personally like to just test myself every day, push myself to the limit, and I want other people to do that. I want people to be able to face your fears. Like if you got something, like just go. Like what's the worst that happens? You lose. Like you know what I mean. Especially in jiu-jitsu, like the worst that happens, you're gonna tap. Right? Like just tap. Right.
The result is irrelevant. Right. It's about the process, like getting to there in the actual event, competing, and putting yourself, whether it be sports or anything in life. Right.
Yeah. Like you could say, like for me, you could say that. Yeah, sure. Losing does suck, and if you're losing all the time, I get it, right? But then you're only focusing on the fact that you're a loser, right? Like that's all you're focusing on. There's so much more involved. Like when I compete, like man, like my diet, like all the things in my life are better when I compete. Yeah. All the aspects of my life. I'm not talking about jiu-jitsu. Yeah. I'm not talking about just like fitness. I'm talking about all aspects of my life become better because like I have to be the best me I can be at that that time. So I'm preparing. So if people aren't doing those things, then I get why they would just be a straight loser.
I think one of the things people say, like for example, you got a competition coming up, you got a fight, and you're like, oh, like, don't you hate like the dieting and like for me, I like the idea of disciplining myself. If I don't have to, I can't drink alcohol. But I like the idea of putting myself and depriving myself of that. Like it's a strange thing to say, but that your life isn't disciplined, right? It's about focusing on one thing, right? It doesn't matter what it is, right? It's that competition. Do you feel that same way, kind of?
Yeah, man. It's like the way I look at it too. And I heard something real cool the other day is. Like say if we went out for food, right? We went out for food, Boston Pizza. We went out for Boston Pizza after, right? We go to Boston Pizza. We order a pizza. Yeah. Okay, I order pizza. I want the service to be good because I'm paying for food. I want all these things. Okay. I expect those things, right? Okay. So I expect good service. If I go to get my car fixed, I'm paying for it. I expect it, right? Okay. If I come to whenever I pay for something, I expect other people to come through. If I'm paying you, my expectation's high. Right? But like people, like when I set a high standard for myself, like I don't give myself shit when I don't approach. You know what I mean? Like I don't have those same expectations. You know, like all those things, right? If I don't come through with like, say with the diet portion, it's like, where's my representation? Like, where's like, am I yelling at myself the way I'd yell at that you know, that the plumber that didn't fix my bathroom properly? Like all those things. So I think holding yourself that as high a standards you would hold other people that you're paying, like that's what I try to do to myself, and that I want to really focus on. I heard that the other day, and I thought it was like so crazy that.
I heard that too. I don't know where I heard that from.
Kind of relates back to that little Tony Robbins clip we watched the other day about if you're going to put the blame on other people and give them that success, if you're going to give yourself this credit, give yourself all that fucking blame too.
Of course, right? Yeah. So
right?
and vice versa, right?
So quick to blame everyone else, but like look deep down inside, right? You're the first person, right?
For sure, right? So I don't know, man. That's like for me. I'm totally willing to like I'm a black belt that owns a school and an instructor, and I'm willing to put my name. Like I'm going to go compete at this PTT in-house tournament. Like I'm always willing. Like there's always the fear of losing and how I'll look. But I always just want to like put myself to challenge. Like it's not about other people for me. It's about me challenging myself.
Did you find it tougher to compete once you became an instructor? Like once you got other eyeballs looking on you,
you know, for me, no. I can maybe sympathize with other people and understand why. Yeah. Right, but I've always just I have something in me that just like I want to compete and like I'm sure you guys know like whether it comes to like drinking our water.
Exactly.
I think anyone that knows you knows that that side of you. So
it's something about it that like that's like it's in me. Like I will. Whatever it is, even if I'm not good at it, man. Like Mike think he's better than me in basketball.
Exactly.
But it's just like I'm so competitive. There's something in me I just don't understand. Like I will not let you beat. Like I'm gonna outwork you if I need to.
If you look at like the UFC champions or even champions in anything, like I think most of them have that mindset. You know what I mean? Like, playing rock paper scissors, anything. Like you're not going to beat me at that. So
like when you see somebody successful and like one of their like key antidotes is like I outwork you. Like I don't care. Like I'm not the most talented, but I'm gonna outwork you. Like for me, like that's almost like common sense for me to be like, okay, let's try that. And if it works, then like keep doing it. Like it's not the worst that's going to happen is I'm going to get better at what I want to do.
Going back to the Canadian Grappling Federation.
Sorry, I totally jumped.
Is there something from this tournament or this what do you call it, federation? I guess that's going to be different from any other tournaments, or is it? At
the end of the day, like what we want, like I've went to some. I guess international tournaments, and at this stage, like I've competed with like guys like Walter Buse, Phil Matos, Jason Gate, all these guys, and they all got their clubs now, and they're all very competitive as well. I think when we go to these international tournaments and we see like our level is getting up there, like we're starting to represent pretty well, right? And the only thing that's going to help that is if we have a bigger platform for us here, in our backyard to help grow, right? And we got a big tournament like CBJJF, like they run like an amazing. They're like the closest thing to an international tournament for us here, like on the scale of it, right? And right now, I think they're only doing 2 a year, I believe, right? And then they do some in like Alberta, and so just having more of those where I think we can test ourselves and be able, especially for our younger generation, like the kids in BC are crazy right now. If you go to tournaments, like. I don't know, it gets me nervous for like some of these kids that are like 8 years old throwing up flying arm bars or something. You're like, oh, right? Like imagine that kid when he's 18, like what they're going to be able to do. And I think just give it like it'd be shameful of us not to give them a platform. Like growing up in hockey and all those other sports, I had platforms for all those things. We have platforms to be successful, and I think if we don't start to help that. In our communities, right? And there's lots of terms like The Last Warrior with Philippe, right? You got Katana coming out again. Like they're coming back. It's awesome. So I think just having more great local tournaments is only good for the community, which we really progressed a lot, in the Jiu-Jitsu community in the last few years, right? It's really blossomed, right? Like you see it. So that's a big reason why I think we've always actually done tournaments. Now we just are creating a different federation, right? Like I think I competed as a white belt back. Robin did tournaments back. They were called like the BC Championships way back in the day. Like even with Grapplers Inc. This was way like 10 years ago, right? So I remember like at our Revolution Club way back, as a blue belt, I was competing at them, right? And then I started helping run them. We've been putting on these tournaments for quite a long time, just under a different, like whether they're the BC Championships, I think we had those for a long time, right? So now we're just taking a little, we want to we don't want to do maybe just the old just get a tournament done, let people compete. We want to be a little bit more legitimate with it. So we're because people tend to like that, right? And it's I think we have a good platform for it. We're all serious about jiu-jitsu. We our tournaments always run pretty good, right? It's not one of those ones where you go to and it's a shit show and you're waiting for hours. We definitely stick to our plans. I think we just gonna blow it up, right? So that's the plan. And
so the goal is just kind of expand on that, like start small here and then
for sure. And, I think like overall, like I have a pretty good relationship with most of the jiu-jitsu community, and as far as I believe, unless they're all just nice to my face, right? Well, that's what it comes down to, right? Like I'm good friends with a lot, like people in PTT, all the different, I feel like I've.
They're not happy with you going up there to take their title.
Yeah, right. But that's how it is, right? But I've trained with a lot of these people, and we all have the same goal. Like especially the competitive ones, their goal is to go to that, the worlds and win worlds and kind of like win these big tournaments, right? And it's only going to be if we can have more opportunities for them to progress here, right? So I think that we also supporting each other's tournaments and building that. So. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Awesome.
I'm excited for to be a part of it. I'm excited to compete as well at other tournaments and this as well. So
cool.
So for the first event, the kids is just gi.
Yes.
And that's points.
Yes.
And then the adults is no gi, and that's submission only, right?
Yeah, submission only. I think it's just something. At this time we just thought there's some other tournaments that are out that obviously around the time that have other have the IBJJF rule type thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people like the submission. We just want to cater to different different needs and wants, right? And I think tournaments will switch up. We'll have a few different options, right? So people can expand. Like the submission only is definitely something that people really like nowadays.
Yeah.
I personally have always been a fan of submission only. Like it doesn't matter. Like, and that's usually when I've lost. And like when I went to like international tournaments, I lose based on these little points or something like that, right? And it's because I'm always going for a submission, right? And so I've always been a fan of the submission game. Right? That's just my opinion. Like,
it definitely makes it more exciting for fans.
I have nothing against it. Like, I'm not sitting here telling you that like. That I I'm a hater and like save jiu-jitsu. I'm not doing all that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a hater. Like at the end of the day,
you
like,
get the point.
Those are the rules, man. Those are the rules, and those guys play within the rules, and they're good at it. So like you can't hate on them. Like that's the rule set.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then build another federation. And like if you're one of those people, instead of just bitching, like they're just bitching because they don't want to do the work behind it, and they want them to change it to what they like.
Yeah.
But then you have a bigger, well, look at how many people support the tournament, so they obviously did like it. So if you want something different, build that yourself and see how many people come to it. And maybe like there will be more that come to it. I'm not saying that, but just do the work there.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to.
Good.
So like that's obviously we want to have it like offer something else. We thought it would be because we heard people talking about it. So we're like, let's
exactly.
So we're actually doing that.
Yeah.
Not saying like I hate on it because I still want to go compete at those other tournaments and I will.
Yeah.
So that's not what it's about. I think it's just giving another. Like when you look in a situation, you look in a field, right? You got to look in like where's the gaps, right? Like like what are people not touching? So it doesn't matter like when you're doing martial arts. If there's a martial arts school across the street from you, okay, like where's the gaps? What aren't they filling in? How can I? What can I do to kind of be better than them, right? That's what we're doing. Or what can I do to like what lane can I hit? That will make money because they're not hitting that line. So let's do it.
I think that's what Eddie Bravo did with the EBI, right? Like, no one was doing that type
success,
of
bro, right? Success. That's
working,
but like and then he's staying in his lane. He's not trying to do the IBJJ. Like that's what he's not trying to match, right?
Exactly.
He's not trying to change their tournaments. He's trying to
and that's where people are successful. I think when you kind of like
finding those different niches, within this global thing, right?
So and like for me, I think like it'd be sweet to have something that kind of like. Each tournament's a little different, right? Also, the next one's, based on just IBJJF gives options to those people that want to compete at that, right?
Good.
So,
good. So March 25th?
March 25th, man. It's a stack like, at one point it doesn't look like there's many tournaments at all. And then all of a sudden, as soon as you start doing them, they just start filling up. And but, we want to be on a day when nobody else is doing a tournament as well, so we can support theirs and, vice versa, right? And we don't want to step on other people's toes. And so I think that seemed to. We had a couple dates out. We had put a date out and realized there's an in-house tournament, but I guess the PTT has an in-house tournament. but they're actually they're opening it to all schools, right? So when he messaged me, I was like, yeah, we'll change the date for sure. And then I was like, and then he told me, why don't you come compete here? And went a trip to LA. I was like, I'm in, right? I was like, I'm in, right? I didn't know I could come, so I'm gonna head up March 4th to PTT Kelowna, and obviously
take the title.
Well, my mind is obviously I'm not being like trying to be like cocky, but like obviously I believe I'm going to go there and win. Like that's just that's all I think about. That's all I'm not being cocky. I just believe like in it, in myself, right? And I won't have another mindset than that, right? So
that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Good.
I hope there's good competition. I hope it brings out some other high level black belts that want to come too, right? And I know there's like good brown belts and good purple belts that are probably even blue belts. I can't be a hypocrite and say there's not going to be some white belt out there that can give me my run for my money, right? Yeah. So that's I'm excited for challenges, right? So
excellent. So what's other than that, like back away from the jiu-jitsu, like what's your goals MMA wise this year?
MMA wise, I want to get. Man, I would love to have like 3 to 4 fights this year. Like to be honest, I finished the year off. Last year with 3 fights in less than 2 months, which was like awesome for me. Exactly. Obviously, like it kind of came through for me, and it was one of those good opportunities. I'm still looking for a fight, so it kind of can get frustrating. I've started to reach out to a lot of organizations, right? And I think for me, which I suck at, I'm not one of those people that want to call people out. Like I'm not like people are always like, maybe you just gotta call people out,
I know, exactly.
Right? And just do that.
It's a hard game to play,
I'm not, but maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
It comes to that point, right? Because I really do want to fight. Like I'm 4-1 now. Yeah. I'm not getting younger.
Yeah. Exactly.
I do want to, see what I can do and test myself the most I can, right? And start, fight some high level guys.
So, what do you think the problem is with you not being able to get fights? Do you think with the promotion or with just locally? Not a lot of local.
Yeah, maybe like there's not a lot of local 185ers for sure. Especially now with some new rules with BFL with the weight thing. I don't know if some of those guys can even make the 185. I didn't have the greatest success at 205. The one loss, right? Yeah. But I've reached out to other organizations. Put my name in there. My coaches and managers have done that as well. I don't know the reason behind it. I don't know if it's just like the lack of people. Obviously everybody has different ideas. I don't think it's it's a fight sport. I don't think people are scared to fight. That's not why I'm gonna be like, oh, nobody wants to fight me because I'm a black. I don't believe in that bullshit. Come on, there's people out there that fight black belt, fight people all the time, right?
It's not a jiu-jitsu competition.
It's not about that, and I don't think that is. I think it's just right now. I was unlucky for a while, but who knows that? I got I couldn't find a fight in a year and a half, and all of a sudden, bam! I got 3 fights back to back because I took some short notice ones, and that's that's I guess kind of how it goes, right?
Yeah. So basically, Jared's calling out all middleweights right now. Yeah. All local middleweights right now.
Yeah, obviously, I'm gonna fight. It's not that I that I hate on you guys, I want to fight. I'm sure they do too. If you guys want, I don't know why you're in the sport. If you're just in it just to just maybe fight once in a while, then I can see maybe why you don't want to fight me, or I don't know why you don't want to fight.
Exactly.
But if you're trying to make a run for someone, if you want to be in the UFC, if you want to take it as far as you can, beat people, right? And I'm willing to do that. So I would I'll fight, fight whoever right now. I'm at that stage. I'm not getting younger. If somebody real good comes about, obviously I want to fight them.
Take the opportunity.
Take the opportunity, right? And I guess I'm just not one of those guys who wants to go and be like, oh, fucking fuck you. I'm not that guy, but I definitely won't say no to a fight.
Yeah.
At 185, right? I've
Good. So hopefully something comes up. What about any jiu-jitsu tournaments coming up? Any submission tournaments?
Obviously I'm going to go to this tournament. What's weird is this underground. Is it Submission Underground?
Yeah, it's Shell
they have this tournament in I believe it's Portland or Oregon, whatever. And so one of my coaches put my name in it, and I guess so. Then they said they had somebody at he was 220, right? And so they asked if that was okay, and I was like, it's jiu-jitsu, so I'm not the weight doesn't mean too much to me, right? It obviously at a certain point when they're not good, it does, but it's also jiu-jitsu, and I'm not Yeah, I like it's a submission only tournament. There's a great opportunity. You get out there, you get your name out there too. Like I think if you can make the main card after, right? That's like an undercard, and if you fight real well, they're gonna want you on the main card next time. And maybe MMA fights that come from it, right? So I said for sure. And
so is that happening?
What's that?
Is that going down?
Well, that's what I thought, and then all of a sudden, so I guess they messaged back, and so the guy actually said no. I don't know why.
Okay.
Because I'm lighter than him, and it's, like I can't possibly see like. He's a high-level guy. I wouldn't see why he'd say no. But so then I guess they took him off the card. So I don't know. Who maybe knows he was injured. Who knows, right? But they called back and said they took him off the card because he wasn't willing to fight. So, so that kind of sucks, right? But I'm going to go down to PGT for this in-house tournament. The goal is, obviously, to win it. They give you airfare. They pay for the registration, and they pay for 3 nights stay at the Pan American Games. So if I don't have an MMA fight by then, I'm definitely going to take that up, right?
Perfect.
That's a pretty good prize.
Go compete at.
Exactly.
So that's the goal, right? And that's that's what I'm heading down for, right? So
perfect.
It'd be stupid if I said I'm going there hoping to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm going there to win.
I'd
be driving up.
What would Eric Thomas say? What would Eric Thomas say? There you go. Exactly.
100, 120, right? 120. 120% I'm getting that, right? So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So.
I gotta ask, who's your pick? BJ? Or
I'm just honestly I just positive energy man goes out to BJ Penn. Like I've always enjoyed that guy, and I hate watching him lose.
Yeah. I just wish he would stop. I
remember my heart was broken when he lost to GSP way back. And I'm Canadian, I'm supposed to like GSP.
No, right? I was heartbroken.
But I was heartbroken.
No.
It's one of those things, and it just it's been sad to see his last couple fights, right? And I just he's a Hall of Famer. He should just
he's got nothing more to prove.
So you think he's going to lose?
No,
what you're getting to. You just beating around the bush.
No, I think I'm going to say BJ Penn.
All right.
I think
do you want to put money down?
I'm too competitive to put money down.
Come on,
I'll put $5 for sure.
I think it's one of the tougher fights they could have given BJ. They could have given him like a Jim Miller, Diego Sanchez, guys that are on their way out. I think. Who knows what he's going to look like training at Greg Jackson's? But I think his style. I think he's going to try and go back to grappling. Maybe. Yeah. Try and do that because he's not going to be able to strike with that Yair Rodriguez, right? He's just
so unorthodox.
Yeah, and he's kicks. He's just too good. So it's.
I don't know.
I want BJ to win, but I don't.
Okay, so you say.
I think Yair is going to win.
Okay.
You look at how BJ's striking was against Frankie Edgar, and it was pretty atrocious. Okay. Obviously, I don't think he's going to fight that same style. But
I just made a good choice with the gym, though.
For sure.
Yeah.
Probably
so what are we pretty much all saying that we want BJ to win, but he's
I think that's everyone out there too wants BJ to win, but
well, maybe BJ will fuel from that. A bunch of haters.
Exactly.
Prove people wrong.
Yeah, right? I watched an interview with him yesterday, and he's positive, good spirits. He said I know this guy's really good. He's I know the guy's tough. He's an up and comer, so he seemed ready. So hopefully,
yeah. You can never count out that guy, right?
No.
You can't, right?
No,
so
never. So
good. Well, man, thanks for coming on. Been great chatting today.
Is that all we got, or what? Is that all we got for the people, or what?
Yeah, you want.
I thought we were talking about.
You got anything more?
Well, there's the co-main event for that pay-per-view: Joe Lozon versus Marcin Held.
Yeah.
I think it's Joe Lozon's obviously more of a grappler too. So
yeah.
What do you? I think that's gonna be fight of the night, to be honest.
You think so?
Well, I don't know anyone else on the card, so.
I don't know about that. Certain grappling matches, they can,
But you look at the way they grapple, the way Lozon grapples, it's constant. He's constantly moving, and then Marcin Held is constantly going for stuff too.
He's
so
a big
I think
blocker,
it's
right?
Yeah, and he's constantly transitioning. Yeah. He's not just I looked at his record last night. He's got toe holds, he's got inverted heel hooks, he's got normal heel hooks, he's got knee bars, he's got submissions, rear naked chokes. Majority of his wins were submissions. Yeah. So I think it's being mostly a grappling match. Yeah. And I think it'd be pretty exciting. But
you're a black belt. What's your thought? You're a black belt, but now the game is evolving, and it's this leg lock system is taken off.
Yeah, still
what's going on?
I don't know. In MMA, or are you talking?
No, just jiu-jitsu.
But I think it's Dean Lester said it best. he was talking, you got 5 limbs, right? You got the neck, you got 2 arms and 2 legs, right? And majority of people only go after 3, right? So right there's 40% of submissions that are out the window, right? So it's a huge part of the game, right? It's right there. It's almost half, right? It's like when you think about it, there's
if you look at the EBIs, like the Gary Tonin and all these guys, like that's what they're winning on. Exactly. It's all heel hooks, knee bars, like that's all they're going for.
It's just different. It's a different system, right? And what they did is right. Like when you think what we were talking about that earlier, like you look at something and you find out like where are the gaps, right? And they did that. They found out like where the gaps were, like what people weren't focusing on, what people weren't too practiced in, right? And then that was like the leg locks and the heel hooks. So they nailed it right now. Like the death squad, right? Like they're wrecking shop, right? And I was even a victim to that, right? I went to that tournament out in Nova Scotia, and I won two matches, and I went against I think his name Oliver Taza, I think Oliver Taza, and he won the he beat me on heel hook too, and he won 4 straight heel hooks, won the tournament, right? And so obviously for me that just pushed me more. Like, it's a loss, right? I hate to lose. I hate the fact that I lost, right? And I think I'd smash him again. I'd fight him again, right? And sure, he believes that he'd heel me again. Like that's the mindset you got to have, right? And obviously I'm going to come back and work on those things, right? And it's it opens up the mind. I think it's good for everybody to have an open mind, not be like that's not don't change up your game because of that. Like you want to know all those things. You want to get better at that. As far as like legs and stuff going in MMA, like it's always going to be relevant, but it's not always the safest, right? Because a lot of times when you go for legs and stuff, if you don't have it locked down right away, you're going to be getting punched in the face, right? And it changes up the game a lot, right? I've been on the wrong end of that and had a definite beautiful face after a couple.
You've been on the positive end of that then too, right?
Yeah, where people went for leg locks on me, and I've knocked a guy out, so both sides, right? The other one, got punched in the face, and I looked like a tomato can after, right? Like ended up after a while, like okay, I got to get up now, right? Exactly, I can't go for that leg, but that's just that's the name of the game, right? And so how do you feel about the leg game after working with Mr. Matt?
Well, I just started working with Quan, did another session today, and he's good. But I feel like I'm learning jiu-jitsu all over again. Yeah, like I feel like I'm going in there and starting from day one. But the reason I don't want to, or the reason I'm taking this approach is because it's like teaching someone a rear naked choke and not understanding how to even take the back or back control and getting hooks and any of that basics. You watch these videos, everyone's doing these leg locks, everyone's starting to teach leg locks, but it's such a vast game and understanding like the different fundamental positions in there, understanding how to escape and the fundamentals of the game, right? And that's why I don't want to learn and just start jumping into things and giving up things unless I understand the fundamentals. So I knew Matt was not only like was he like a big guy around with it, but he's constantly learning about it too.
Well, he's definitely like that's what you like about a competitor, and Matt's a great guy in that aspect. Like I think I can't remember the guy's name. All I can think about is he wears like frog pajamas. He's he competes all over Canada. I think it was at the Rumble on Rumble on Broadway or something like that. Okay. And I remember Matt Kwan, this is maybe I don't know if it was a year ago or a bit back, and I remember Matt Kwan faced this guy and Buddy I don't know if he heel hooked him, ankle locked him, or whatever, but I remember Matt posting a picture of his ankle looking huge, right?
Oh, okay.
And then I remember and then the next time I think I rolled, he was all about leg locks, right? Yeah. But that just shows, when something like that happens, right? Like, he wanted to evolve his game. He's like, whoa, that, I'm not going to let that happen again, right? Exactly. I'm not going to let somebody tap me out like that again. Yeah. So he learned the game and all of a sudden realized, there's a lot of people that don't know this stuff, and, I can, definitely find the lane that's missing, right? And, so that's commendable, right? And he obviously found his niche, and he's really good at it.
Yeah, they got a really good, system, in place, because he trains with... his name from Island Top Team.
Rob,
right? And they kind of got a whole system in place, and he's constantly evolving. He told me today, he's like, what I may show you next time, maybe changing, right? Because we're still kind of developing this.
Yeah.
And,
Rob's always been good at he's always been about the hill. So I think I competed against Rob as a brown belt.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Way back, man. Yeah, and I was bigger than him, so I just used my size, right? Yeah. I was at a tournament, and I was one of those belts over there. That's what I ended up winning, right? But I remember I didn't know. I knew I was going to be going up against a black belt probably because it's an open for the belt. And I remember watching, like I just looked up a video and he has like these instructional videos and they were about heel hooks. So I was like,
okay,
it's good to go over heel hooks.
Yeah.
I gotta get my foot to the mat. Like that's what I was thinking. There was a couple times where we went for it, but I was just, I was mindful of it at that time, right? And then I just used my weight.
Okay.
And it wasn't like I didn't submit him or anything. It was like a submission tournament, I think, but it was like done. They had some weird point system.
Okay.
It was in Seattle and ended up beating him on some weird points.
Okay.
Who knows, right?
Strange.
But, like back then I knew he was he was definitely the leg lock guy, right?
Yeah.
And it was
That's cool. Well, like even when I roll with Wanda, like we'll do like the hour technique and then we'll roll for like 40 minutes or half hour, whatever. And the guy's subbing me like nonstop, 15 times, heel hook, leg look. But it's just a different game because he's always transitioning to it. It's like I can't even pass his guard because once I get past, like he's bringing his knees in and he's he's grabbing. It's just a different game, right? So I'm trying to understand it. And my only approach to it is I want to get better at jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu, but I want to understand it because I think it's going to start working its way into MMA and you kind of got to stay ahead with things, right?
Going back to that, when you're talking about Matt, did you say he wears frog pajamas?
No, the guy that he competed against. I can't think of the.
That's all you took from that whole thing.
I can't think of the guy's name. It's like kind of on the tip of my tongue, but he comes and competes like all over Canada. He's definitely more of like a no-gi guy, and he. I just know when he comes to tournaments, he has like poofy hair, right? Okay. And he wears these really outlandish like style like pajamas, like whether like they've been frogs, they've been like Mr. What is it, Mr. What's like the frog's name, like the cartoon character? Kermit the Frog.
Okay.
Right? He wears different get-ups like that, right?
Yeah.
Matt could definitely tell you his name, like
nice.
But I definitely I don't doesn't ring a bell.
Good.
So when we rolled last night a couple times, like you were threatening going for like a foot or a leg, but like you just said you're just using that, right?
Well, I brought it up today when I was and I said I wouldn't actually go for that. But all I was doing was standing up in the guard, right? I had one leg in the middle, and I just would go for like the toe hold just to see what he'd do. And it's not like I'd actually roll for that. And I asked Matt about that. He's like, and he said he had actually never do that. He said he's done that actually in competitions. Bet him before. He said you don't really want to do that. He's kind of got a what does he call it? He calls it like a closed circuit. So basically his idea of a closed circuit is you got your legs crossed and you've got that leg, pinched and trapped in there. And so he said, with the toe holds, he's like, they're loose and you might give up position. Yeah. So when I was rolling with you, I just toss it up. I want to see how a guy reacts. I do that with guillotines lots, right? I'll throw it on. Maybe I don't get it most of the time.
Well, you even said it like at the end of the day, like what happens as soon as you apply something, like you said, like when you're passing Matt's guard, you question your passing, and that's what it gets you. Like it gets you in that moment, right? So those are like with any type of form of jiu-jitsu or striking. Like when people feint and stuff like that, like those are the whole thing. Like that's the whole idea is that you're tricking your opponent, you're outwitting them, outsmarting, right? And that's like a big part of it. And that's where jiu-jitsu becomes easy for you when you can actually like you just like put something up and then somebody reacts to it, and then bam, you get them with what you really want them. So
I'm so reactive with them, right? I can't even apply my own offense. I feel because I'm like every time I do, I'm like going into something that
on the back of your head,
and I'm just like
worried, right?
and I feel like then I'm just trying to sail him in his guard, try to keep him there, and I'm like, this is tough. It's a tough game, but it's the only way to get better, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's how you like a lot of times how you learn them is by and at the end of the day is defending something, right? You learn something by learning how to defend it, right? So take care of that. Yeah,
good, cool, man. Well,
overall, man, it's been a blast, guys, and hopefully.
Beauty, buddy. Thanks for coming out. It's been good to have you on. All right.
I'm just going to charge you guys for rent for the space.
Perfect.
No deal, right? But I'm sure I'll be back on if you guys will have me.
We'll see the reviews after this. We'll see how it goes.
Our 6 fans will probably enjoy having you on, so don't worry.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit more than just Mike and Greg, right?
Maybe they'll kick me out and have you on now.
Okay. Beauty. It'll become our thing, right?
We can always have Mike though, because you always need that one person, right? In the background, right, Mike?
Yeah.
You said it. I'm just repeating what you said earlier. I'm not being a bully. Like play my
instigator, the shit talker. Right?
Hey, I don't start anything. I just finish it.
All right.
Whoa. Okay.
Beauty, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Jared.
Okay.